Hello and welcome to Zabbix series. In this video, we are going to be looking at the new visualization features added in Zabbix 6.0 LTS. In particular, you can see I have my knock dashboard open. It's empty. We are going to populate it with a new set of widgets from Zabbix 6.0 LTS, and we'll have a nice view of our metrics on this here dashboard. So let's start with adding a widget. And here, if we click add widget, we can see we have a selection of multiple new widgets: item value, Geomap, top hosts. These are the three that we'll be looking at in this video. And let's start with top hosts. Top hosts widget can be used to display a list of hosts, either top hosts or bottom hosts, sorted by a metric. So before we select our metric, let's take a look at what we see here. So first off, of course, the widget type, then the widget name. Let's give it a name. Let's say this will be our top traffic widget. Top traffic. The refresh interval, and then the filtering options. We can display hosts belonging to a specific host group here, or individual hosts, or filtered by specific tags, which we'll add later on. Then we can select the ordering, either top hosts or bottom hosts, and how many hosts are displayed. And then once we add a column, we can also select which column will be used to order our hosts by. So let's try and add some columns. Click add next to the column section over here. Click add. And then we need to select our item, values of which will be used to sort our hosts. So I will be collecting traffic in this widget. So let's say this will be incoming traffic. I will give it a name. Incoming traffic. So we need to give a column a name, otherwise it'll be nameless and it'll be really hard to understand what our metric looks like. I'm going to show you how it looks like when we add the second column and you can compare it then. Then we have to select the type of data that will be displayed in this column, either item value, host name, or just plain text. We'll also play around with these. So first let's select item value, then the item itself. So click select, and over here, I need to select an item from any of my hosts. In my case, I will be selecting over here bits received. So that's incoming traffic. Bits received on this here interface that you can see on the screen. So every host that matches my filter and has this here item, right, it will be displayed in the top hosts widget, if it is within the top 10 hosts sorted by this here incoming traffic. Then we have the aggregation options. We can aggregate values. For example, minimum, maximum, or average over some time period will be used instead of the raw value. And we can also time shift our data collection, so to speak. Well, data display, not really data collection. If we time shift our data display, that means that we'll be seeing data from, for example, 1 hour ago or 1 day ago or something like that. Then we can also select multiple display methods, as is bars and indicators. We will look at those and select between history and trend data. If we select auto, then history will be prioritized. If we have history to use, we will use history and display history. If we don't have history, then trends will be displayed. All right, and then the base color and thresholds. Let's leave these empty for now. We will figure out what they do in a moment. So let's add this here column, bits received, incoming traffic. So right now it will look very simple. You can see I have incoming traffic. That's the name that I gave this column. And that's it. No host names, no nothing. So another thing that we have to do for this to make sense is add a column that will specify the host name for the metric. So click edit on the widget, click add on the column, add. Select the host name over here from the data type of the column, host name. And I'm not going to give this a name. I'm not going to give this a name because it'll be quite obvious that host names are displayed in this here column. And now I can see that the host name has popped up over here in the columns section. And I'm going to move it to the top since I want for this to be the first column. You can easily move these with your mouse. So move it, click apply. So already this looks a bit better. It does make sense. We have a list of hosts and we have incoming traffic next to it. All right, let's add another column for outgoing traffic. So one more column, add. Let's give this a name because it's not really clear initially what kind of data is represented. So outgoing traffic, and select item for the outgoing traffic. Interface bits sent. We will be displaying data as is without any thresholds, without anything. We'll cover that later. Let's click add and let's click apply. All right, so incoming traffic, outgoing traffic. Click edit once again. And over here, we can now select the column by which the hosts are ordered. Top hosts by incoming traffic. And we are displaying 10 hosts currently, no more than 10. So top 10 hosts. Okay, let's make this a bit prettier. Let's select colors for our incoming and outgoing traffic. So if I click edit on any of the columns here, let's say incoming traffic, I can assign a color to it. So let's use this light blue for incoming traffic, and for outgoing traffic, let's use something else. Let's use this here shade, light shade of orange. Let's click update. Let's click apply. Okay, this already looks prettier. We can stretch this around, right? If we make it smaller, we will see this here scroll bar. But since we'll be having quite a few different widgets on this dashboard, I'm gonna make it small-ish. 4 hosts are visible here, top 4 hosts. Let's say that that's enough for me. Let's now try other visualization options for this widget. I'm gonna copy it, click on the 3 dots, click copy, and click paste anywhere. And there we go, let's move it. Now let's click on the gear icon and let's change these here columns, incoming traffic, outgoing traffic. And instead of displaying as is, let's display incoming traffic as a bar. And we have 2 new fields that have popped up, minimum value and maximum value. We'll play around with those. Let's click update, apply, and just to see how it looks. So on the right side, we have outgoing traffic, which is displayed as is. And on the left side, we have incoming traffic, which is displayed in the form of bars. This looks really, really good. We can mix and match these. But for this example, let's also define outgoing traffic as a bar. So click on the outgoing traffic column over here, click edit, and then select bar and update. And then apply your changes. And we have our traffic displayed in bars. Let's once again copy this. Let's once again paste it. And now let's take a look at how indicators look like. I will put it in the middle of the screen since we'll be playing with these here indicators quite a bit. So let's once again click on the edit button for this widget. Click edit on the column and select indicators for both of these fields. Bar, indicator for incoming and outgoing traffic. And then click apply. All right, so now we can see all 3 different types how we can display data in our top hosts widget, as is, bars, and indicators. But we have a couple of other fields that we haven't touched yet. Let's click edit on the indicator widget, and let's click edit on the incoming traffic column. So first off, what we can do is we can edit the minimum and maximum value. So let's say that for this here indicator column, our minimum value will be 0 and our maximum value will be 10M. So 10 megabits. Remember, we are obtaining value in bits, then we are using units, and we can also use units here, right? So 10M, 10 million. All right, so let's update and let's see how it looks like. So minimum value is 0, maximum value is 10 megabits, right? So that's for incoming traffic. Outgoing traffic still uses the automatic approach, where it just automatically calculates and decides how to display these values. Let's also set the same logic for outgoing traffic, just so we're consistent. Click edit on outgoing traffic, minimum 0, maximum 10M. So 10 megabits. All right, there we go. Okay, so we have very small amount of traffic going through our hosts. That's fine. As it goes up, the indicator is going to get filled up. What we can also do, we had the threshold option. If we once again open our widget configuration, click edit next to any of the columns over here, incoming traffic edit, we have thresholds here. And thresholds define what value should be reached before the value changes color. For example, if we reach, let's say, 2 megabits of incoming traffic, right? Let's say that our color should be changed to a darker shade of orange for both of these values, for incoming and for outgoing. So I'll add thresholds for both of these. Click here, change the color, set the threshold to 2M, update, and apply. So there we go. And now I can actually visually see this. Once the value reaches the sort of the dark orange part of the indicator over here, we will know that our value is over 2 megabits. Visually, we will be able to understand it at a glance. We can also add another threshold, and let's do just that. So once again, open the widget configuration, click edit on incoming traffic, and let's add another threshold. If we reach 5 megabits of incoming, or I will also edit the outgoing traffic, then our indicators will be colored in red, like so. And now we have nicely split it up for incoming and outgoing traffic. And if any of these reach the red part of the threshold, the red part of the indicator, then we will know that, hey, maybe someone's streaming some movies or something like that. And these are, as you can see, really lightweight servers. There isn't much traffic on them. So that's why I'm not expecting for them to reach, for example, 5 megabits. If they do, then I definitely need to check out what's going on. Are there any unsanctioned downloads, or if someone is streaming something or something like that? So that's essentially the top host widget. Let's move this back. Let's order this in a nice sort of column. And now let's move to our next widget, which is, we'll be looking at the item value, or also known as the single item widget. So this is quite a trivial widget that can be used to display a single metric. So we can give this a name. I will give this a name used space on my root partition. And then I need to select an item, select your host over here. In this case, you need to select the exact host. And I will be selecting Apache Web Server, and I will select use space on the root partition. And if we add it, before we move on to the configuration, let's see how it looks like. We can see there are different parts to this widget, right? There is the name, the description, the value, the date, and we have the checkboxes here to remove any of these. There's also a change indicator. So if a traffic goes up or down, or if your use space goes up or down, or whatever you're displaying here, you will see a red arrow if it goes down, if I'm not mistaken, and a green arrow if it goes up, or possibly vice versa. Don't really remember. But yeah, you will see an arrow in which way the value has gone. And we can see right now we have removed the time and date over here. We can plug it back in. We can also make this widget a dynamic one. Dynamic item, click apply. And what this means is, if I save my changes on this dashboard, I can now select a host over here, and the value will be displayed for the selected host. For example, right now I'm seeing the value for the Apache Web Server. And if I click on the host select, and let's select something else, Cloud Node 1, you see it's displaying the value for the Cloud Node 1 for the same item. So that's really nice. Of course, the item must exist on this host for it to be displayed. Let's click edit. And if we click advanced configuration, if we mark the checkbox here we can edit each of these elements: the description, the value, the time, the change indicator. Well, change indicator over here, we can see how they look like. You can change their colors actually. So by default, up is green, down is red. But you can change these around however you wish, and also the background color. So for example, what we can do is in the description, we can add a macro. Instead of simply displaying item name, I can also display host.con, for example, the IP address of this host, right? And now you can see used space and then the IP address of the host. The list of macros is available in the documentation. If you just search for macros, internal macros, you will see where they can be used. And in the documentation, it will say which macros can be used in this here widget over here. We can also change the sizes and colors for any of these. For example, I can make my description bold, right? You can see it's bold right now. I can change its size from 15% to, let's say, 30%. Right now, it doesn't really fit in. It's a bit too large. So let's switch back to 10%. And of course, the location for each of these elements. For example, I can move it to the right side. There we go. So now it's moved. And let's change the background color. to something probably ugly, since I don't have a good taste in displaying widgets. No, it actually turned out quite nice. Let's move the description back to the middle horizontal position over here. And if you're trying to overlay these over one another, for example, if you're trying to move the description to the middle vertical position, which is already taken, you will see an error message that two fields cannot occupy the same space. All right, so quite a lot, but essentially, if we boil this down, it's a way of displaying a single value with some extra information that can be obtained from macros or can be populated by hand if you wish to do so. All right, and then finally, let's play around with a geomap. So add widget and then add your geomap. So once again, we can give our map a name. So let's say our Europe overview over here. And once again, we can filter by host groups, hosts, and tags over here. And we can also define the initial view by specifying coordinates here, but there's also another way that I'm going to show you. So let's add our map here. There it is. Let's stretch it out a bit. There we go. And I have over here the initial view of essentially the whole globe. Let's save it. And then we can actually, once we save it, we can, for example, zoom in on a location. I can see I have 18 hosts over here. And as I zoom in, they become more granular. Over here, there we go. And if I right click here, I can set this to the initial view, set this view as default. So now every time I open this dashboard, this here part of the world of my map will be displayed, right? And if I click on a location, I can then see a list of hosts. The highlight color that will be used will be the color of the highest severity. And over here, I can see that, yes, on the Berlin application server, I have some high alert over here. That's why it's red. Okay, how do I actually populate these hosts? So if I go back, for example, to configuration hosts and look at my Berlin application server, let's look at it. Berlin, let's remove the filters, Berlin application server. And if I go to inventory over here, I will see that I have populated the location latitude and location longitude fields. So this is where this Berlin application server will be displayed on the map. You can use API to populate these fields, or you can populate them manually by using mass update, for example. You can just checkbox them like so, mass update, inventory, and then set the mode either to manual or automatic, and then find the longitude and latitude fields. There we go, and provide some value here. And then if the filters match, once we move back to our dashboard, they will be displayed here. So populate location, latitude, and location longitude, and the hosts will be displayed on your map. All right, there are different types of maps actually. So this is just one of my types. If I move to administration, general, and then geographical maps over here, I can select my tile provider. I can also provide a custom tile provider. The documentation specifies how that should be done, or I can select one of the predefined ones. I think we were using USGS, US imagery, if I'm not mistaken, either imagery or topo. And let's switch to OpenStreetMaps, right? Let's update and we'll see how different it actually looks. If I move back to my dashboards, I can see that my map now looks completely different, right? So it's up to you, up to your preference. Use whatever you want to. And then we can also, let's say we can filter by, let's see, by environment contains, or let's say equals production. And let's see if it matches anything. So if it doesn't match anything, it will display anything on the map. But if we, for example, remove it, right? Since there are no matches, it will start displaying all of the hosts. So if there are no filters, it'll display all of the hosts. Why doesn't it display the hosts that I just specified? Because they don't have coordinates specified for them. That's why they're not getting displayed. On the other hand, remember, we can do the same, for example, for the top hosts widgets. We can select, say, this here top traffic widget, and I can also filter it by tags. Environment contains, let's say, is equal production. And this here should match something. Click apply. And yes, instead of something around 10 hosts, it now displays 4 hosts. So the same logic applies both on Geomap and top hosts. Hosts that are tagged with a specific tag that matches the filter will be displayed. In case of Geomaps, if they have coordinates provided for them. In case of top hosts, if they have the item that we are trying to display. If our hosts don't have this here, incoming or outgoing traffic item, then they will not be displayed in the top hosts widget. So we need to make sure that we have first defined the items that we wish to monitor. And that's it. I think we have created a very nice dashboard over here. We have 3 types of top hosts widgets, as is bars and indicators. Indicators use thresholds, and also they use filters by tags. We have a single item widget with a custom description that uses item name and host con macros, also the green background color. And we have our Geomap that displays all of the hosts. In this case, we did not use filters, but we did use the custom default screen. We right-clicked on it and we selected set this view as default. And now we're seeing all of our hosts that have coordinates populated for them in Europe. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you have learned and seen how to utilize these new features in practice. And feel free to share your favorite dashboards. You have really created something exquisite and something that's nice to look at on social networks. We'll gladly reshare it and like it, and maybe just interact with you and have a nice discussion about how did you achieve such a great result. So that's very much welcome. If you wish to share, don't be afraid. That's very much endorsed. And I'll see you guys next time. So follow Zabbix series. We'll have more videos. We'll be covering both new features, upcoming features, and of course features that have already been here for a while. We'll look at them, dissect them. And if you wish for a feature to be reviewed in our Zabbix series, feel free to leave a comment and we'll definitely take that into account. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day and I'll see you next time.